also is a true testament to the steadying force that you've been for our program through such a tumultuous time of transition and upheaval. So I want to say thank you. Just want to share a really quick anecdote. I remember those of you that know me well know that I, sort of speak my mind. I sort of try to keep it real. And so, as Darren was transitioning in and owning his space, we didn't always see eye to eye. And I remember something that Darren shared with me as we worked through our professional differences that has really helped me as a professional. It in large part comes from the book that he wrote. But Darren pushed back and challenged me and asked how I was creating invitations for others to step up and step into the space that we were creating. And I never had anybody sort of put it to me like that, this idea of invitations and the way in which we create space for others. And so one, I want to say thank you personally, Darren, not only on behalf of the program, but for your encouragement and reminder to be the type of leader and person that I could be in that opportunity that we went through in our relationship. So I appreciate that. And then the other thing that I think everybody can attest to that's just more general is Darren is a master teacher in every sense of the word. There's not one student that I think has come through our program in the last 4 years that hasn't taken a class with you. So you've been the connecting force for our entire program, and the evidence is so clear, both empirically and more generally in people's anecdotes about how much of a great teacher you are. And I appreciate that as somebody that comes from a family of educators. The ability to teach well is really hard. And you have to be passionate about it. You have to hone your craft and skill. And I've fortunately been able to see Darren, the time and effort he puts into constructing a class is the best that I've ever seen, to be frank. You start way ahead of time, and you're thoughtful, and you ask for guest speakers, and you meet students where they are. And we say that as a cliche in our field, but you really do. And I've also become a better teacher just kind of watching you hone your craft. And so I think it's quite fitting that you get to now take your brilliance to the engineering world where they need better teachers. And I'm really excited for the work that you're going to do there. So on behalf of the colleagues, both current and previous, thank you for everything you've done, Darren, for our program. Thank you for continuing to show up and advocate for our students. Some of the curricular design pieces are also a testament to your keen eye about the field and what our graduates need from the program. And so you've done so much in such a short amount of time, and it's a shame that we're losing you. But I'm really, really excited for you personally and professionally for the next steps that you're undertaking. So thank you from me, thank you from our program, thank you from the school. I'm just going to speak for everybody. Thank you for the university, and really, really, I'm excited to get to spend this moment with you as we celebrate who you are and who you've been for us.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dimitri. And so Darren, just a note, just for you, you're gonna have to hold all comments till the end. You're gonna have to absorb this throughout this time. And we'll certainly give you a time to chat at the end, but at the end, we'll have an opportunity for you, but you have to just kind of absorb and kind of be in the moment with us. So thank you. So next, what we would like to do is, with priming that and moving forward, is that we felt like a great time for this is that in a lot of conversations with Darren, whether on one-on-one advising within the classroom, he shares a lot of wishes for us as students, right? And sharing how do we go from theory to practice, but then also on the other end of how do we actually live our authentic selves. And Darren does that himself and tries to teach that for us and model that for us. And so in this activity, what we're hoping to do here is that we're actually gonna, if folks would like to, you can raise your hand and we'll spotlight you, and you can share your well wishes for Darren. So this is a little bit activity of I wish you. And so we'll share, if in the chat the link again to the guest book, but for those that would like to vocally share a story about Darren or wishes that you have for him and his new adventure, you're welcome to do that. Just raise your hand, and then we will, and then unmute yourself and share what you'd like to Darren. So we're going to open that up now. If anyone would like to start. And yes, go ahead, Sundus.
Hi, everyone. I am at loss of words because I'm in this program with the help of Dr. Darren Pierre. I met him in my undergrad through leadership, and the amount of opportunities that have come to me because of our relationship and our connection has been tremendous. And being at this point where I'm graduating the program and also seeing Dr. Darren Pierre take his new adventure is very, very lightheartening for me. And also I'm just very excited for him. So I wish him all the best and all the love for his new adventures. I definitely am very thankful for all the wisdom that he's given me. And so I just hope that the same goes for future engineer students, and like same opportunities come, because it's the season of learning. And so I think the season of learning continues to grow. So a lot of who I am today and the knowledge that I have right now is all thanks to Dr. Darren Pierre. And so I really wish him well for that. And thank you, Dr. Darren Pierre.
Thank you, Sundus. And Morgan, I think your hand is up.
Yeah. Hi, Darren. It's great to see you. So for some context for y'all, because I didn't see a ton of names I recognize, but I am a former student. I finished the HESA program in 2018. So just about 3 years now. And I was very fortunate to have Darren for both student development and leadership. And right when he started off with the program full time was my second year. And it was just a game changer. It felt like, as Dimitri mentioned, you all know we've gone through some shaky times, and a lot has changed in the past few years of the program. But it's really nice to know that we have Darren to look back on. And as I am now a full-time professional, rounding out my third year in the field, working in college access, I frequently get to go back to those lessons that Darren taught us. And it's really nice because I have colleagues who went to other programs, and I can tell that there was a difference in the way that they found passion in theory, because that can be really challenging. And so being able to be with Darren, I feel prepared to explain that theory to my students, because as we all know, our students know more than we think they do, and we can talk with them through what they're going through. And then also just knowing that I'll never forget, Darren told us that he was preparing us to get PhDs, that every single one of us, if we wanted to, could go become a doctor. And knowing that having that confidence being sent with us out into the professional world, I think makes us all better professionals and better people too. So I just want to thank Darren, and I'm so excited for you. So excited to see what you do next. I know that Maryland is going to be extremely fortunate to have you. And I'm just so glad to get to see your face again. It's so nice. So those are my words for Darren.
Wonderful, thanks Morgan. And next, Daniel.
So I finally did the count, and I think after all told, me and there's a couple of others, I think we ended up taking 6 classes with Dr. Pierre. So all in all, I still kind of lovingly refer to this as my master's in Dr. Pierre studies, just because, yeah, it's there. But see, and that kind of brings in some difficulty with trying to think of a specific memory or a specific experience that we've had with him. But immediately, and I'll try to keep this brief, one of the ones that will always just come back, and I'll always kind of just remember very lovingly, is just the way that you empower students to kind of just have very candid conversations that can become ridiculous, but they still become learning opportunities. And so I won't give too many details, but I remember a particular conversation in Oregon Gov where we were talking about institutional symbols. Yeah, that conversation got a little rowdy. It got very steamy. And I just hope that moving forwards, you'll continue encouraging future students to kind of just learn through fun and through engagement and through camaraderie and through just seeing the same passion in the subjects that you teach that you kind of just share with everyone. So, yeah.
Great, thanks, Daniel. And I think next it was Protege. I think you were next up. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Awesome. Okay, hey, and sorry about my weird background. I
think you're back on mute again.
You see how the devil is busy? He's trying to block us. He's trying to block my well wishes. You ain't got no power here, Satan. Dr. Pierre, I just want to say I appreciate you. I'm jealous of those like Daniel who were able to have 6 courses with you. I only had 1 and it was absolutely immaculate and I loved it. I always say that I am in this program because Dr. Pierre believed in me. And I just truly feel like that way. In our conversation, our interview, I was just given so much fluff, like just so much fluff about like why I wanted to be in a PhD program. And he was like, girl, if you don't tell me why you're trying to be here, you ain't gonna be here. So what's up? And just like showing me that like I can be honest with saying like, I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I don't want any opportunities to not be with me or to not be able to do something because of this or that. And I feel like this gives me that power. And for him to say like, that's okay. Yes, that's it. That's your reason. That's your why. Like you don't have to have this grand scheme of et cetera, et cetera. And so just continue to show students and specifically myself to just show up authentically like yourself, and that there's not so much a right answer or a wrong answer, but only you can talk from your experience. Only you can, share what you know and how you've been impacted. So I am salty to be losing Dr. Pierre as a faculty. I feel like we are spirit animals in our conversations and they flow genuinely. And it's just been really a great experience, but I'm very excited, so excited for you and what you're going to do in Maryland. I have so many friends in Maryland and around Baltimore, and I know you're going to be lit and you're going to be great and the students are going to love you as well. And so I hope when we find your substitute or your replacement that they're just as great as I'm sure Dr. Morgan will make sure they are. But just know it's much love for reals. We can follow each other on social media now, so there's no conflict of interest, you know what I'm saying? I love you, and I'm going to go back off video so my headband and Kobe doesn't contrast with this tomb here. I don't know what this is, but it's great. All right, love you.
Awesome, thanks, Protege. And then next we have Courtney.
Hey, Darren. It's always good to see you. I think it's kind of like trying to figure out the best words. I think there's so many words to say, but I think that the one thing that one of the things I will remember is you were one of the first people that I worked with when I started my PhD program. You were the first person that offered me a teaching opportunity to guest lecture my first year as a PhD student. And that is something that I will always cherish and will always remember. You gave me the space to TA with you, and we worked together through internship and ePortfolio, and we've done a lot together. And I think that what I've loved and appreciated immensely about you is just your willingness and kindness just to see so many of stuff in us that we sometimes don't see in ourselves. Your willingness to tell people to break the boundaries and be who they are and be authentic. When I think of you, I think of authenticity, I think of compassion, I think of mentorship, I think of guidance. And I also think of like friendship. The one memory, and my family just told me about this and reminded me about this weekend. You allowed my mother and my grandmother to be in our leadership class during my second year of my PhD program. That was the first time my mother and my grandmother was in a graduate class. And that to me meant a lot to them. My mother is currently in school right now, and my mother and my grandmother actually just mentioned when they're coming here this week, they were like, we want to see Darren, we really want to see him. And they talked about how much, that class really meant to them. And I think that is really, truly what you really embody. You embody family, you invite people who, may not ordinarily be in these spaces to be invited into those spaces. And I think that when Dr. Morgan, and Dimitri shared about the invitation of love, like that is truly what you do in so many facets, in so many ways. And so I will always remember and always cherish those things. And I wish you nothing but the best. And I know that, you know, Maryland is, you know, already your home. And so it's your invitation back to home. So your homecoming, if you will say, with your Beyoncés and your Janets. And so the homecomings and the homegoings is coming. And so I will appreciate that immensely. And you've just, you know, been such an impactful person to me, and in terms of as an educator. And I really hope that, you know, I have an ounce of the ways that you influence so many people in your classroom. And so I just wish you nothing but the best, Darren, and you know, good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck.
Thanks, Courtney. And next, it looks like we have Lisa.
I was trying so hard with my tears, so I may crack at the end. I know, you know, throughout our conversations that we had, whether they were in class or on Zoom, I know that I always tell you how much I appreciate you, how much of an awesome professor you are. And again, like, just how lucky I am to like be sharing the same space with you. You have made such a huge impact in my program and in my future career as well. Like, I know I always talk about you and your teachings with my spouse, with my friends who also share an interest in higher ed. Like, I'm always telling them, like, man, like, I wish, you know, you were my program, just so that you can see how awesome Dr. Darren Pierre is. Like, you would just love his class. You would love his teaching. Like, I just have nothing but positive things to say about you. And I always love how you're like pushing us. So you're always challenging us. And always trying to get out of our comfort zone so that we can grow and be better, and just always encourage us to continue learning. You know, being and almost finishing up this program, you know, I've come to realize that the learning never stops. Just because we finished a program, just because we finished taking a course with you, like, it never stops. It's life learning. And you know, again, no matter how many times I've said this to you repeatedly, of why, you know, always remember your why. That has always been with me since day one in your classroom. Because sometimes I forget my why, and I'm like, why am I even trying? You know, this is too hard. This is overwhelming. And then I think about you and our conversations in the class. I'm like, oh, that's why, because I care, because I want to show others why, you know, this is important to understand and how it affects others. So yeah, I'm really happy for you, Darren. I'm very grateful for you. And I know that your students and, you know, the people who are going to be working with you are going to appreciate you. So good luck, Darren. I know that we're going to stay in touch. Trying to hold back the tears, but you're awesome, Darren. Keep being you. And yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. And the floor is still open if anyone else would like to share. Okay, well, I'll go with mine. I wasn't gonna, mine's not gonna be as eloquent as some of these, obviously, of course. But I remember I had obviously had the benefit to have Darren as my advisor when I first started my PhD program. I remember first when I was looking at doctoral programs and I was looking online, and I knew I kind of narrowed down on Loyola. Of course, you kind of do your internet stalking and searching online. And I remember I went on LinkedIn, and I believe Darren was one of the first that I had searched, and I had saw we had like a mutual connection via LinkedIn, Rebecca Bergner. And so part of, you know, the Leadership family. And I remember I texted Bergner and I was like, hey, do you know this guy? Tell me about him. How do you get me in here? And she fortunately connected me with Darren, and we were able to, you were so great to and willing to meet with me to discuss. I know I had at that time reached out to Loyola chat, and you're one of the faculty that immediately responded and were willing to set up time to talk with me about the program and about grad school and, you know, coming back to get my PhD. And I really appreciate that time because you were honest and authentic in that conversation, and that never changed in our time together, that you were always honest and authentic in everything that we did. And so I appreciate the time that you took and invested in me in my graduate program. And I remember when I first took a class with you last spring, after working with you for that full year, it was so fun for me to see the other side. I saw you as my advisor, but I hadn't had a class with you yet. But then last spring, to see that in action and the excitement and the passion that you have in the classroom, and the excitement, that passion that feeds to other people. And that I remember, just leaving class and having conversations with my classmates, is that I get the excitement. I get it, that they're like, Darren's stories, the passion, like it radiates in your classroom, and it comes out of there and infuses in everyone that takes your classes. So thank you for that. And I was so fortunate to be able to see that and be witness to that. And it makes me think of, I had a conversation with a mentor a couple months ago, and they kind of asked, when you finish your program, what do you want to be? And then I kind of like listed, and one of those options was talking about being a faculty. And they said, okay, now make a list of all the faculty that you've ever had in your career, and think of all the qualities that they've had that you admired. And I have to say, number one is your ability to make a classroom light up, your passion and your storytelling ability. That is something that I envy, and that I know is the envy of a lot of people, and that I appreciate that. And I hope if I can be able to put that into practice when I become faculty, or if and when I become faculty, I hope I can be able to practice that like you do. And it thinks of, just to my final point, is that I remember we had a conversation, I think it would have been February of last year, before kind of COVID madness started. And I had asked you, like, what's your end goal? As we were kind of talking about life goals and things like that. And I asked what your end goal was. And you had talked about being back at Maryland. And so I feel like it's so full circle, because you had said that. I'm like, I want to be back there. I think that's end goal. And I'm like, I love hearing that you're making it to that goal and that dream, and that it's so exciting. And I think you're kind of this perfect example of, like, put your mind to it and set a goal. And so I thank you for the time that we've had together, and I'm excited to see our relationship grow as you move on to new journeys and stay connected. And so nothing but well wishes for you. And thank you so much. Next, I'll pass off to Hank.
Sure. Yeah, I'll just be quick. Darren, it's so good to see you. And when we got the news that you were leaving, it was so sad. And I never got to have you as a teacher, but as a colleague, I'm not surprised that your students love you, because you're an amazing person. And I'm trying to think of a committee you haven't served on at Loyola. I'm not sure that there is a committee that you haven't served on, but I don't know about you, but I'm always excited about going to meetings. But whenever I knew you'd be at a meeting, I always look forward to it, because you're just such a kind, thoughtful person. And the way you treated your students is the way you treated your colleagues. And I just value you as a person. And it's been just an honor and a privilege to know you. And I'm going to miss you. And thank you for all your contributions here. It's just been tremendous. And I wish you all the best on your next steps.
Okay. Hi, Darren. It's so sad to know that you're leaving, and we're going to miss you a lot. And I always remember the day we served on Michelle's dissertation together. And I remember after the defense, you are actually the only person that after defense and asked me, do you want to walk back to the building together? And then I think it happened only because that defense is in other building than the building we work with. But I just always remember that day that we walked back to a building together, and I said, well, I saw you are on so many committee, and then you seems that you take a lot of extra service work. And then I remember you said that, well, I hope that when I start to do this, more people will also jump in, because this is our community, and then we should all play part of that. And then you stated with all the sincerity, and I feel like it's just a nice colleague to know that there's a colleague who are so willing to put his heart and time and energy to serve other people in the community. So I'm going to miss that a lot, and I wish you the best. And I hope our paths will cross someday. And best wish.
Wonderful, thank you. And next we have Lorenzo.
Yeah, I just want to say, Dr. Pierre, like John, I kind of knew about Darren before I met him because we have many of the same circles. And I heard similar things that have been talked about today before I met Dr. Pierre, and they were just amplified, having the opportunity to be a colleague of his for the last 2 years. One thing that I will add is that Darren is an incredibly collegial person. And I don't mean that in terms of, collegiality gets kind of misdefined in terms of like what that means. But what I appreciate about Darren is he's always authentic in his viewpoints, but also is graceful in terms of his listening. And, for me, collegiality isn't agreeing on everything, but it's coming out of a dialogue, a debate with as much trust as you entered it, the conversation with. And Darren was a huge part of that for our program, incredible part of it. And I don't know how we're going to replace that, to be quite frank. You're a special person, and Marilyn's getting not only a great scholar and intellectual, but just a fine human being. So the other thing that I always enjoyed about Darren is, of course, we're both from North Carolina. So it was always lovely to drop my G's and, have a conversation. And, it was just like going home, really. In terms of the slow pace, taking your time with the conversation, never being in a rush, talking about all kinds of things, moving from topic to topic, the inflections, the statements, the conversations, they were just wonderful. It was like a piece of home. So I will definitely miss that. But I wish you luck at Maryland, and I know that we will not be strangers. I know the relationships that we have built for all of us extend beyond our departure, whether it's graduation or getting another position. So definitely not farewell, but look forward to seeing you again in another capacity and reminiscing about our time together, but also hearing about the wonderful, exciting things you do in the land of the Terrapins. So congratulations.
Thank you, Lorenzo. And next we have Mason.
Hi, Dr. Pierre. The first time I met you was at my admissions interview, and I just felt that I couldn't, have you leave Loyola without just genuinely thanking you for the opportunity, for being there during that interview and believing in me enough to present me with the opportunity to begin the PhD program in the fall, of this year. So I just really want to say thank you so much. There were a couple takeaways for me specifically from, our conversation that we had. And I just wish you the best of luck on your new endeavors as you return back home. And once again, just thank you so much. And it's unfortunate that I won't be able to experience all the great things that people have been, saying about you over the past couple of minutes. But I just wanted to say thank you and best of luck.
Awesome. Thanks, Mason. Oh, perfect. And now Tori.
Okay, sorry. I was trying to start my video. I have a 2-year-old running around, so it's an interesting day. But Darren, I think I'm so bummed because I haven't been able to take a class with you. And like every time I talk to a lot of the master's students, some PhD students are like, oh my gosh, you should have taken student development theory, you should take leadership, and like all these great things. And a lot of times I'll I know I've chatted with students before, but just their students just gush over you. And I'm like, why am I not in these classes? I just wish I could be. But I know our time was really brief together because I've just started this past year. But I just I think it's important to acknowledge you were one of the reasons why I chose Loyola. And I remember coming to the interview day and us sitting in your office, and we were talking about my reason why I thought Loyola was a fit. And you quoted Beyonce, and I don't know how it came into context, but in that moment we just clicked. And I remember being like, this is great. And then I just gushed because obviously I love Beyonce because I'm a sane person, and who doesn't? Yes, right. But in that moment, I remember it's just laughing. And then we went from that conversation to then about my research interest and then to yours. And it was just so authentic and genuine, and it flowed well. And I remember thinking if this is what the faculty is like here, this is a community for me. And you were really one of the first people who showed me that I could really thrive here. And so as bummed as I am for our short time together, I'm really glad we connected this semester and got to work together a little bit. And I'm really looking forward to connecting in the future, whether it's like through scholarship or hopefully one day we'll be in the same place and we can go get a drink and chat, because you're on my list of people who I really want to do that with. But I'm just so appreciative of you. And I just want to thank you because you really made Loyola a space that I thought that I could thrive in. And so I just really want to thank you for that.
Awesome. And then Asha.
Okay. So Darren, I really want to name this. So you are the first Black male teacher I've ever had, followed up by Lorenzo and Dimitri. But I really wanted to name that because seeing student affairs through your eyes was an absolute pleasure. It was challenging, it was comfortable, and all the conversations we led to, it was a perfect fit. I can only hope I have as many connections and friendships that you have gained in higher education. I think that the entire network of people you know really, not even know, but who show up for you really speaks to who you are as a person. In our first semester, Doctora had us author what our journey through higher education would be. And moving forward, you will always be a part of my journey through higher education. Everything I learned from you, like not even the theory, just who you are and how you invest in your students, I will always take that with me into the field. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Maryland is so lucky to have you. And I know our relationship does not end here.
Awesome. Thanks, Asha. Anybody else? Do you want to make sure I do put in the plug for the guest book? Is that something that he'll be able to take with him? And he'll remember all these wonderful things too, but as a reminder to do that as well. And awesome, we have Viviana next.
All right. Hi, Darren, it's me. I know an alumni now, graduated 2 years ago, but when I saw this update on the newsletter, I was kind of sad, but then very excited to just, wish you the best onto this new stage, going back home. And I just wanted to express my appreciation of, I think, all of the life, not, yes, the academic part of being in your classroom and everything that we learned, but then also just the life experiences. I think you were one of those faculty that just connected from those personal moments and bringing it into like, this is how it impacts us as professionals and in education and everything that we do as human beings. And so I took a lot from your classes, and definitely the mac and cheese reference that you always would say in class, sprinkle a little bit of this, sprinkle a little bit of that. It adds all the ingredients, makes it very fruitful. Yes, I am just, I'm excited, but I'm also bummed. Maybe I can go visit you in Maryland, or we'll just keep in touch on social media. But thank you so much for everything. You are a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human being. And you're someone that I look up to. You definitely impacted me in my higher education experience. And I'm just so excited to see you once again.
Wonderful, thank you. Anyone else? Perfect. Hey, Alex, you're up.
Okay. All right, hey, Darren, how are you? Well, you can't talk back to me right now, but I see that you're doing good. So I decided I wanted to share a personal story with everybody. Last semester, I decided to say, I want to go ahead and continue my education. I might get a little emotional, but Darren was one of the first people I went to ask to write a letter of recommendation for me. And his response was an instant yes. He didn't think twice about it. He didn't ask me, was I sure? He wrote that letter of recommendation 24 hours later and sent it back to me. And I share that because Darren has always told us to know our worth and know our value. And in that moment, he let me know he wasn't just all talk. He truly believed in me and said, oh God, he's one of the reasons why I'm going ahead and continue on, hopefully in the next 4 years to be Dr. Jackson. Darren, just 2 years. I truly appreciate you. And you have changed my life. I want you to know that. So I definitely second everything that everybody said. Just want to thank you. I'm gonna cut off my video because I'm making an ugly cry right now. But thank you so much, Dan.
Thank you, Alex. Anyone else? Awesome. And Ja?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Darren. I'm glad I check my email as much as I do because I would have missed this. I just really, it's been said, but really appreciate you. Definitely kind of making the transition into grad school from leaving New York City to moving to Chicago. Love you lots. Took 4 of your classes. So I think that that is true when I was in the master's program. Hard work, had us read like PhD students. But definitely the challenges make sense. I mean, I'm 2 years out from the master's program, and there are things from you and all types of faculty there that I take with me. But one thing I really take with me is we're all on our own journey. You constantly say that. You ask us to give grace to other people and kind of like get out of our own heads and kind of shut the hell up sometimes. And that's truly made me a better educator. It's made me see myself a lot. And one quick story I'll share is when we were in leadership development, our kind of final presentation was to talk about the leader that we were. And Darren was like, tell me where you want me to meet you. And I'll meet you there. And we kind of like had our leadership conversation on the campus I was working at. That was like far south and real far south, you remember? And it's just wonderful to definitely see all this love around you. And I really, truly appreciate you. And we'll keep in touch. It is not goodbye. It is see you later. Wishing you the best. Thank you for all you do and all that you will do. So
Wonderful, thank you. Anyone else like to share? Awesome, Stephanie.
Hi there. I can't share my video because my computer is broken. We gotta love technology. But I just wanted to pop in and say a quick offering of gratitude. I graduated from the Loyola program in 2017. So unfortunately I didn't get to have a class with you, but we brought you in for our student organization symposium in my grad work at Northwestern. So I got the chance to interact with you and see you in that capacity. And that was just beyond phenomenal because to me, when I think about you and all the stories that I hear about you from folks who are still in the program and the PhD program, after I left was just nothing but great things. And everyone was always like, oh, you didn't have a class with them. And I said, no, but I worked with them at Northwestern. So I was really happy to be able to work with you in that sense. And I think that just kind of echoes everything that everybody has said. Your work has really touched so many different people's lives because it's not just at Loyola, it's every single instance in which you're interacting with folks. And I wanted to thank you for supporting our Northwestern students at that time, for supporting our Loyola students, and really every person who has ever interacted with you. We continue to talk about you and share the news and the different words in which you touch those folks with. So the reach is immeasurable and immense. And yeah, just wanted to say thank you and wish you all the best in your continued success, because there will be much more. So I'm excited to further connect with you and to keep hearing great stories about you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Awesome. All right, so it will be kind of our end of that piece there, but everyone feel free, of course, to check out the guest book. And then also as well, you all know Darren's contact information, so feel free to reach out and send him good vibes. And at this time then, Darren, will pass it over to you. I'm sure it was torture to be quiet and listen to that the whole time. But I hope the point of that there was for you to be able to listen and to, I know you listen, but you know what I mean, be able to take that opportunity to to hear all the wonderful things you've done in the last number of years here at Loyola and the impact that you've made. So as a heartfelt thank you, I hope you hear that. And then now some time for you if you'd like to share anything with everyone.
Well, I just feel a little bit overwhelmed. I mean, it's weird. I teach every week and you're the center of the conversation when you teach because you're facilitating the experience. But this is just overwhelming and anxiety invoking. So I want to acknowledge my feelings where I'm at. I want to just first say thank you to the HESA board and to Dr. Morgan. Just appreciate. You know, I think that you are working in the right place when you can have spirited conversation, because spirited conversation is a manifestation when brilliance is coming to a space. When brilliance comes in diverse thought, comes in diverse people. And so I just want to thank the HESA board and Dr. Morgan for curating this space tonight. It's really appreciated. You know, I feel like Maryland and Loyola are siblings that just haven't done the 23andMe to find out that they're related. When I was a master's student, I looked up to doctoral students like, you know, they were like gods. I just thought they were the smartest people ever. And especially as a master's student who, and I've shared this story before, when I was a master's student, they asked for my interest. After I got admitted to the program, they asked for my interest. And I put Long Walks on the Beach and Music by Janet Jackson. And at the University of Maryland, College Park, that was clearly, no, that was not what they meant by interest. They meant like queer students and how they matriculate in higher education, or high achieving African-American males. They wanted something else. That's not what they wanted. So I read this whole thing and I get to me and I'm like, oh, I do not fit in here. Clearly, okay, I came from a small private school in North Carolina. I have a Southern accent. I was the only person in my cohort from the South. This is not for me. So it's so rich to be part of a faculty community that has had so many students, particularly students of color, particularly first generation college students who have decided to do doctoral education. Because there are going to be a multitude of students who are like me and felt like they didn't belong, but they belong. They belong not only at an institution to study, they belong at an institution to teach. And so those of you who are in the master's program now, I hope you think about teaching. I hope you think about doing your doctoral work in the future. For those of you who decide not to, know that it's not because you're not capable. It's just because you powerfully chose not to. But back to my story. So I looked up to the doctoral students immensely. And one in particular, Dr. John P. Dugan, who I just thought he was the smartest man ever. First of all, he did all this quantitative stuff. I don't know anything about quantitative things. I barely know how to use a calculator. So he would do all this work. And I remember he was in this cubicle and I would come down to John's cubicle all the time just so I could soak up his John brilliance. I probably got on his nerves. And then he said that he had gotten a job offer at Loyola University Chicago. I said, well, it must be the Harvard of the Midwest, because if they got John Dugan. And Loyola has exceeded everything that I expected it to be based on the assumptions of John Dugan coming here. And so my time here and the connection between the two universities, I think there is some synergy and relationship there. Maya Angelou says that, thank you, they're the greatest words because they are the words we use to communicate with God. And I can't say thank you enough to the faculty and its total, faculty currently and faculty of the past, for what they have taught me about temperance, brilliance, scholarship, dedication, passion, and authentic commitment to social justice and inclusion. For that, I can't say thank you enough for my faculty colleagues from the past and the present. And to the brilliant students, most of which are alums, and it's so great to see so many of y'all. I wanted to send y'all direct messages, but I don't think I have chat features. So I just want to say thank you in totality to the Dr. Hutchinsons, who's now a doctor. I remember when Q was Q coming in, and now it's Dr. Q, and I can't wait. And one day I'm going to come to one of his classes and just listen and absorb all of his brilliance. I want to thank you all because I really do believe we're in a teaching and learning relationship. And I want to thank the students, past and present, who have enriched my life deeply. I hope you continue to be people who fortify spaces within higher education to be inclusive. And I hope you continue to speak your truth, even when your voice shakes. And so I want to just say thank you so much to all of my colleagues, to my faculty colleagues within the higher education program, to our students. It has truly been an honor and a pleasure. And then I want to finally thank the Genesis. If this is the revelation, the end of the experience of my time at Loyola, then I can't help but thank those who paved the way for me. The brilliant educators, Dr. Laura Perna, Dr. Sharon Fries-Britt, Dr. Susan Comavez, Dr. Diane Cooper, Dr. Laura Dean, and Dr. Mary Lee Dunn, all of which are the most brilliant educators I've ever had a chance to interact with, who've ever invested in me. And they just so happen to all be women. So thank you to my students, past and present. Thank you to my faculty colleagues, and thank you to the incredible educators who've paved the way for me. I hope that the gifts they imparted on me, I was able to in some way impart on our community here. And I hope you all continue to impart those as you move forward. So thank you.